Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order when you check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Sports Pictorium Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. If he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL helmet poster. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday Sports on the Sports History Network. Today we're going to discuss the 1970 Minnesota Vikings. Fresh off a Super Bowl appearance, many predicted the 1970 Vikings would be back in the big game. But Minnesota lost its starting quarterback, Joe Kapp, in a contract dispute, and what turned out to be a great season ended disappointingly. The Minnesota Vikings lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 23-7 in Super Bowl IV, but the Vikings got some measure of revenge 8 months later by defeating Kansas City 27-10 in Week 1 of the 1970 season. They beat the lowly New Orleans Saints the following week 26-0, but then were upset in Week 3 by the inferior Packers team. The Vikings bounced back strong the following week by scoring a 24-0 shutout of the Chicago Bears, and they followed that up by shellacking the eventual NFC Champion Dallas Cowboys by a score of 54-13. A 13-3 win over an excellent Los Angeles Rams team in Week 6 showed the rest of the league that the 1970 Vikings were every bit as good as the 1969 Vikings. Minnesota stood at 5-1 at this point, and its famous Purple People Eaters defense had allowed only 39 points and 3 touchdowns scored against them. The surprising thing is that the success came without their fearless leader, quarterback Joe Kapp, at the helm. Following a contract dispute, Kapp left Minneapolis to hook up with the then Boston Patriots. The Vikings won their next 4 games to run their record to 9 wins and 1 loss. 2 of those wins came against a Detroit Lions team that had a good year in 1970, finishing the season 10-4 and qualifying for the playoffs. Following an inexplicable loss to the New York Jets, the team recovered and won their next 3 games to finish the season with 12 wins and 2 losses. Minnesota allowed just 143 points scored against them for the 1970 season. That's only 10 points more than the 1969 team allowed. Many analysts and fans thought that these Vikings could go all the way, but they didn't. The prevailing opinion was that the team's early exit from the playoffs, upset in the first round by the upstart San Francisco 49ers, resulted from not having Joe Kapp at quarterback. Gary Cawazzo, the starter, was 9 completions out of 27 attempts, with 2 interceptions in the 17-14 loss to the 49ers. One can only wonder if the 1970 Vikings could have won the Super Bowl had Joe Kapp played for the Vikings in 1970. It's one of many NFL questions that will never be answered. That concludes our podcast for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and God bless.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
We here at the Sports History Network proudly partner with 26 podcasts, all revolving around the history of sports. But did you know that many of our hosts were sports history authors way before they started their shows? It's true. We've got Joe Ziemba, host of When Football Was Football, Joe Zagurski, host of Pro Football in the 1970s, Mark Morthier, host of Yesterday Sports, Tommy Phillips, host of Lombardi Memories, and Scott Adamson, co-host of From the 55-Yard Line. All these authors have many books for you to choose from. To check them out, go to our website at sportshistorynetwork.com/sportshistorybooks. Pick up your copy today. Soundtrack provided by Kevin MacLeod of filmmusic.io.